Hey guys, what's going on? It's CalebBake01. Thank you for joining me again for another one of my random horror reviews. For today's episode is a film that you could maybe say is a little bit of a guilty pleasure for myself. It is a movie I have seen a handful of times before, and if I'm being completely honest, that is probably too many times for a movie like this one, but I recently picked it up to add to my horror movie collection, so I thought why not put it on for a revisit and a review for you guys. And if I am being completely transparent, it is a movie that I do find some sort of enjoyment from. So today's film is Dolly Dearest. Obviously a killer doll film. That's why I put on my Child's Play shirt. Because if you can't tell, this movie is pretty much a rip-off of the Child's Play franchise in a way. Or maybe more so just jumping on something that was popular at the time. This movie's from, I'm guessing 1990 something. 1991, so yeah, I'd probably say more so just jumping on something more popular at the time, being the Child's Play franchise. Obviously, I don't own a Dolly Dearest shirt. I don't think anyone ever has owned a Dolly Dearest shirt, so... but I thought Chucky Child's Play ties in somewhat, so... Either way, let's get into the plot of this one now, and we'll go on with my thoughts of this one and a rating towards the end. So, the plot for this one, a family of four moved to Mexico after the father buys this company that makes the Dolly Dearest dolls. And the storyline is just basically them settling into their new house in Mexico while the dad is trying to start up production again on these dolls because the factory hasn't really been left in the best of shape over time. Meanwhile, there is an expedition or a dig going on just by the side of the factory, and the scientist has uncovered this Mayan tomb, and an evil spirit escapes, finds its way into the dolls in the factory, which brings them to life and evil. That might sound like a little bit of a spoiler, but that literally happens like, I don't know, 5 minutes into the movie, so I'm not really giving too much away, and this movie is pretty straightforward. So with that being said, let's get into this one now. So maybe you have picked up on just how I'm speaking about this movie. It's not great. It's nothing flashy. It's pretty straightforward. It's low budget, product of the time, sort of cheesy. You should know what you're getting yourself into with this one. And if I'm being completely honest, what is good about this one is I think the creators of this movie are aware that this movie isn't great. There's many scenes where they don't take themselves too seriously, which is good, because if they were taking themselves seriously with a lot of the scenes in this movie, it would fall flat on its face. But I think this movie, most of all, has a light-hearted approach, and as I said, they don't take themselves too seriously in a lot of the scenes in this movie, which is good. But with that being said, all attempts to make a decent film aren't thrown out of the window either. They're still trying to put somewhat effort into this movie, and I can see that. I can see the heart behind it, which I do enjoy as well. And as cheesy and goofy and whatever else I'm saying this movie is, to be completely honest, there are some genuinely cool things to do with this movie as well. As I said, the whole Mayan angle coming into this movie is pretty cool. The dollhouse, like life-size dollhouse they have in the backyard, is pretty awesome as well. The digging site, as I said. There's this really cool scene in the basement. It's a very small scene. It's like 5 minutes max, but I thought that scene was very cool as well. So with all that being said, as I said, this movie's pretty goofy and cheesy, but it has things going for it as well. As I said, this movie has a more light-hearted approach, but still this movie is full of maybe unintentionally funny moments. The opening scene at the dig site when the fucking wall falls on that bloke, I started fucking pissing myself laughing. I just thought that was the funniest shit ever. I also openly out loud fucking cackled when you first hear Dolly Dearest speak. It's the fucking funniest shit ever. You're like, no, seriously, this is the fucking doll's voice. I thought that was the fucking funniest shit ever. This movie is full of unintentionally funny moments. The doll itself, it's okay. It's not too bad. The design isn't overly original. It doesn't have as much personality as I was comparing to it earlier. Chucky, it doesn't have a personality like that. It doesn't move as fluid as well as maybe some better killer doll movies, but at the end of the day, it's decent. As I literally just mentioned before, the voice is pretty fucking terrible, but it adds to the charm of it. One thing that was a little bit disappointing with this movie is the kills are really weak. There is literally only a couple or so kills in this movie. But with that being said, with the lack of kills that there are, I mean, at least they're decent. As I was saying earlier, there's that really cool scene in the basement where a kill does go down, and I was actually genuinely surprised with how decent that kill actually was. It sort of took me by surprise. As I said, I've seen this movie before, but re-watching it last night, I was like, oh shit, that kill is actually pretty decent, and it took me, it surprised me a little bit. So with that being said, yeah, the doll is okay. There's some funny moments in this one, but yeah, the kills also maybe not the worst. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that this movie runs slow, but with just this type of movie it is, some of the scenes and some of the points in this film just feel like they do carry on a little bit long, and you're just sort of waiting for something to happen. And when I say a movie like this, I just mean, lower budget, and, some of the scenes, because it's so low budget and there's just dialogue between characters, it's not as captivating, which is a little bit disappointing. But as I said, this movie doesn't overstay its welcome or anything. It actually runs by relatively quick, just some scenes do drag. And to be completely honest, this movie could actually have a few more minutes added to it, but I'll talk about that as we go. Oh, you know what, I'll talk about it now. The ending to this movie, the final showdown, is disappointing because the build-up to the final showdown is actually like really cool, and you're like, okay, shit, some awesome cool stuff's about to go down. They hype it up. It starts off with a bang, and then the credits just literally start rolling, and you're like, fuck, is that it? The credits just pop up out of nowhere, and I thought the movie had at least another 10, 15 to go, but no, it stops there. So the ending is a little bit disappointing as well. As I said, if they added, at least another 5 to it, I think they could have done a little bit better there. But the ending to this movie is a little bit rushed, so in the long run, this movie isn't necessarily slow. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Maybe some things added, take some things out, I don't know. The pacing for this one is a little bit weird. And again, as I said earlier, this movie is pretty straightforward. There really is no mystery. As I said, just from going through the plot of this one, it might have sounded like a spoiler, but it literally happens in the first 5 minutes. So you sort of do know what you're getting yourself into going forward with this movie. It's pretty black and white. A killer doll film, you sort of know, as I said, what you're getting yourself into with this one. So is this movie good? No. Do I enjoy it? Yes, I do really enjoy this one, and I find myself having fun with it. As I said, it is maybe a little bit of a guilty pleasure, even though I don't really like that term. It's fun, it's lighthearted, and if you watch the first 10 minutes of it, you should understand the type of movie that you have going forward from there. So, if you hear this review and check it out, I don't want to hear anyone coming back and saying, you said this movie was good. No, it's not a good movie, but I have fun with it. So, with that being said, I'm going to give Dolly Dearest, this is actually a bit of a hard rating, I'm going to give it a 5.5. If I was being a little bit more critical and looking at it more technical, this would be a much lower score. But then again, if I was rating it on how much fun I have with it, it would probably be higher. So I think 5.5 is a good middle ground for this one. So yeah, I'm going to leave my review for Dolly Dearest right there. So thank you for joining me again for another random horror review, guys. I had a lot of fun going back and rewatching this film. As I said, it's one that I have seen a handful of times, and each time I watch it, I know it's bad, but I have fun with it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys would have fun with it as well. So let me know if you have seen this movie before, or if you go and check it out, come back and let me know in the comments what you thought of it. But thank you for joining me again, guys. I'm appreciating everyone who has subscribed to my channel and is liking and commenting on my content. I really appreciate that, guys, and I will see you for another video soon, guys. Peace.